Twinless is a beautifully complex movie about two men dealing with loss, loneliness, and that feeling of being left behind with grief.
As a twin, it's like you internalize the difference between you and your other half. Who's older? I am now that she's dead.
That might sound pretty heavy, and at times it is, but this movie has way more to offer than just those really heavy themes. It has moments of levity, glimmers of hope, and a story that may stick with you well after the credits start rolling. So let's discuss Twinless. So every week I have to decide what movie I want to review because oftentimes there's more than one movie coming out for the week, and this week we had this movie Twinless, and then we also had The Conjuring Last Rites, and after the last Conjuring movie I decided I don't think I want to see that. Those movies are going down in quality, there's too many of them, the series has been going on too long, so I chose to see Twinless, and I'm overall pretty glad that I did because I do think, just from my hunch, that this is the better of the two movies. Twinless stars Dylan O'Brien, Lauren Graham, James Sweeney, who by the way wrote and directed this movie as well, and Aisling Francisco. As I said, it's about two men that meet in a support group for people who have lost a twin, meaning that their other twin died, right? That sounds pretty devastating. You know how they say that twins feel everything with each other, right? I think we've all heard that. Imagine how it feels when you lose a twin. I imagine that that does have an extra impact on the remaining twin. We start this film by meeting Roman, a man that has a serious temper, lots of grief, and he is holding on to something that is truly, really dragging him down, and he needs somebody in his life to help him get out of this stupor that he's in. And that's where we meet Dennis, a fellow person in this support group who is also dealing with loss, dealing with just feeling lonely and needing someone to connect to. And that's why these two start forming a very interesting friendship. And I have to say, at first, this movie seems like it's going to be a pretty by-the-numbers grief storyline, right? It really does come off as, okay, they're going to meet, they're going to become friends, and this, and that. But there is actually more going on with at least a couple of these characters that really took me by surprise, but in a pleasant way because it amplified the movie, I think. If the movie had not had this surprising kind of twist going on, I don't know if it would have really stuck the landing quite as well as it really did in the end. Dylan O'Brien does an absolutely fantastic job playing not just Roman, but he also plays the other twin, Rocky. Rocky is the twin that died, but we do see some flashbacks from him, and it was fun seeing Dylan play the other half of these two twins. Despite looking identical, these two are very, very different, and the personalities that you see between these two characters, it was really cool, and you could tell that Dylan O'Brien was having a blast playing Rocky, and he also does a great job playing Roman. As a matter of fact, speaking of Dylan O'Brien, there's a scene towards the later half of this movie where he really nails some truly powerful emotions. I don't want to get into too many details, but it's a scene that I think really could elevate his chances of getting an Oscar nomination. I don't know if he'll win, but it was a truly powerful moment. He really showed his gravitas as an actor, and I was just overall so impressed with him. He brings that complexity to Roman. You can see this man who is stuck in this anger. He is dealing with something that he just does not know how to fully flesh through. He needs somebody's help to get him there, and that is what makes his character easy to connect with, because if you've ever lost somebody, it really does leave a dent in your life and a hole. I mean, I think at this point everybody probably has, so we do know how that feels, right? And Roman is someone that is going through all these emotions, and he is going through things that a lot of us have experienced, so it is actually kind of captivating watching him come to terms with who he is in this world without his twin and try to find out if he can move forward in this world, being that he lost somebody that means so much to him. James Sweeney plays Dennis in this film. He's a very timid guy with a lot of insecurities, and he is very, very desperate for a connection that at times makes him also come off as being selfish, because this guy wants a friend so bad that he's willing to do some dishonest things in order to secure said friendships. So I was sympathizing with Dennis, but at the same time I was thinking, Dennis, my man, you're doing some stuff that I just cannot get on board with. But that comes in later, and I don't want to spoil things for you. Just to say that Dennis is an extremely complex character that has his merits. He's got his strong points. He also has his weaker moments. He's very much a person like you and like me who is prone to making mistakes in the name of getting what he wants. And that's all I can really tell you without giving too much of it away. But one of the things that I thought was so cool with James Sweeney in this film is not only that he plays Dennis really, really well, but when the credits started rolling and I saw that he wrote and directed this movie, and I am now in total awe because this is a very well-written movie and he does a solid job directing. It's a story that you really do feel pulled into. Sure, it's a dramedy, which means it has its moments of slower pacing going on, but it also has moments that are gonna make you laugh, that are gonna make you feel somewhat moved, right? That's what's going on, and I think he did a really good job crafting a story that hits all those beats almost perfectly. And it's these slower moments in the film that help us truly understand these characters and where they're coming from and what their motivations are. It's those moments that truly do make the film feel truly like an insightful look into these two men. And I feel like I would definitely be remiss if I did not mention the brilliant performance from the effortlessly charming Aisling Francisco. And I hope I'm not saying your name wrong, sweetie, but her character was super great. She was so easy. She kind of is the heart of this film. She's a character that you start out thinking, oh, she's a little bit annoying, but as you progress through the movie, you realize that this is one of the most honest and caring characters in this movie. She's one of the few people who doesn't have their flaws just shown outright for people to see, because Roman and Dennis both have flaws that are pretty clear and easy to see, but this character, her character, is just someone that is that bridge between these two people, and I thought she did a fantastic job. I really liked her. She was so charming, so easy to get into. Bang up job, girl. Overall, I think this movie works really well and it kept me entertained from beginning to end. It does have its slower moments where I thought maybe the pacing could have been tightened up a bit better, but it is balanced out by these fantastic performances from these really exceptional actors. This story is very mature. It manages to be funny while also having that heart and drama and, you know, the heaviness that comes with the subject matter, because this movie is dealing with grief and loss. And that's something that almost everybody in this world at this point can probably attest to having felt. And so, yes, it doesn't seem like something you want to go through when you're watching a movie, but watching these characters in this movie go through these feelings and come through on the other side, I think it helps us as the audience members to heal and come to terms with the things that we've dealt with as well. And that's where I think this movie really succeeds, is connecting with you on that level. Dealing with loss is something that nobody can ever really get used to. It's horrible. It sticks with you. It really does create a lasting impression that probably scars you in some kind of way, but also can transform you into being an even stronger person if you let it. For me, this movie is a solid 8.5 out of 10. Very strong performances, very solid writing and directing. Occasional slow pacing does bring the score down a bit for me, but overall, it's well worth the trip to the cinemas if you're in the mood for a drama / comedy, which I think that you should ponder doing that and seeing that, because The Conjuring is going to be another run-of-the-mill horror movie that's going to have jump scares, and it's probably going to be somewhat entertaining. Sure, you're going to get scared, but is it going to really stick with you as much as a good-hearted story like Twinless? That's my thoughts. I think it's worth seeing. If you saw this movie, go ahead and put your thoughts on it in the comments and let me know what were your overall opinions of it. What did you think of these performances? Because I think this movie features some truly standout performances. If you liked this video, go ahead and hit the like button, guys. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.